Once upon a time, in a beautiful kingdom nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, there lived a kind and humble water carrier named Shankar. Day in and day out, he faithfully served his village, ensuring that every household had access to the life-giving water. Now Shankar wasn't just any ordinary water carrier. His cheerful nature and infectious laughter were known to brighten even the gloomiest of days. As he walked through the village, his melodious singing would echo through the streets, lifting the spirits of all who heard him. He wasn't just a provider of water. He was a source of joy and happiness for the entire community. But one day, Shankar's exceptional character caught the attention of none other than the king himself. Intrigued by the tales of this extraordinary water carrier, the king summoned him to his magnificent palace, completely unaware of the trouble that lay ahead. When Shankar first stepped into the opulent palace, he was overwhelmed by its grandeur. Gilt-edged walls adorned with intricate patterns, crystal chandeliers that sparkled like 1,000 stars, and exquisite tapestries that depicted scenes from ancient folklore. It was a world away from the humble life he had always known. The king, seated on his majestic throne, looked at Shankar with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "So you are the famous Shankar, the water carrier whose laughter echoes through the village," he said with a smile. "I have heard that you bring more joy to people than the finest entertainers in my kingdom. I want you to stay here in my palace and bring water for me and my guests. Consider it an honor, a service to your king." Overjoyed, Shankar rushed back home to share the good news with his wife. He donned his finest clothes and returned to the palace, eager to begin his new adventure. As the days turned into weeks, Shankar became a familiar face in the grand palace. His cheerful spirit and captivating storytelling skills made him a favorite among the king's guests. They would sit for hours, enthralled by his tales of bravery, love, and adventure, each story more enchanting than the last. Even the king, weary of the endless formalities and protocols of court life, found solace in Shankar's company. He would often call for him just to hear a good story or share a laugh. But not everyone shared in the joy of Shankar's presence. Among the king's courtiers, there was a man named Irabaran, who held a position of great influence as the king's minister. Once upon a time, he had been the king's most trusted companion, known for his intelligence and unwavering loyalty. But as years passed, the minister's heart grew heavy with envy. He watched with resentment as a simple water carrier, whom he considered beneath them, won the king's favor. Driven by jealousy, the minister concocted a wicked plan to get rid of Shankar. One evening he went to Shankar's house and whispered, "Shankar, I must tell you something important. The king has been complaining about the bad smell of your breath. He does not want to offend you, but he finds it unbearable." Upon hearing this, Shankar was deeply embarrassed. "Oh no, what should I do?" he asked, worried. The minister, pretending to be sympathetic, suggested, "Well, to avoid offending the king, you must wear a mask whenever you are in his presence." From the next day onwards, Shankar followed the minister's advice and wore a mask whenever he entered the king's court. The king, though surprised by the sudden change, did not question it. Days turned into weeks, and Shankar continued to serve him as before, never once questioning the minister's words. Then one day the king noticed the minister staring at Shankar's mask and couldn't help but wonder, "Why is this man always hiding his face from me?" The minister, seizing this opportunity, replied, "My lord, I asked Shankar the same question, but he told me that he wears it because he finds your breath unpleasant." The king was furious. To think that someone he had treated so well could deceive him in such a way. He immediately ordered the executioner, "Take this man to the palace gate and wait for your further orders." Then, turning to the minister, he said, "Go and bring Shankar to me right now." Within moments, the executioner stood by the palace gate with a bouquet of roses in his hands. The king had prepared this small gift for Shankar, not realizing the events that would unfold next. The minister entered Shankar's home and said, "Shankar, the king wants to see you immediately. Come with me." As Shankar left his house, he saw the executioner waiting for him. "Here, take this bouquet of roses for me," the minister said, handing it to Shankar. "Give it to the king." Before Shankar could ask any questions, the minister hurried away. Moments later, the executioner approached the bewildered Shankar. "You were supposed to give these roses to the king, right?" he asked. Taken aback by the sudden turn of events, Shankar managed to nod. In a flash, the executioner drew his sword and beheaded Shankar, not giving the poor man a chance to explain. As the sun rose the next morning, the king sat on his throne, still puzzled by the strange events of the previous evening. Suddenly he remembered the bouquet of roses and asked for the executioner. "What happened to the bouquet of roses I asked you to deliver to Shankar?" The executioner, taken aback, stammered, "But you ordered me to behead him as soon as he left the palace gate." The king was shocked. Why would he order the death of his dear friend? Confused and saddened, he called for his minister. Upon seeing the king, the minister fell to his knees and said, "My king, I have done nothing wrong. If you believe me, ask the guards outside. They will tell you the truth." Curious, the king ordered the guards to be brought before him. They recounted how they had seen the minister take the roses from Shankar and walk towards the palace gate where the executioner was waiting. As the realization dawned on him, the king's face flushed with anger. "You treacherous minister, you have betrayed my trust. How could you deceive me like this?" The minister, sensing the king's wrath, tried to plead for forgiveness, but it was too late. The king, his voice trembling with rage, ordered the minister to be arrested and taken to the dungeons. The next morning the king summoned Shankar to his court. "Shankar, I am sorry for what happened to you. Tell me, why do you always wear that mask in front of me?" Still unaware of the deceit, Shankar replied, "My lord, the minister told me that you found my breath unpleasant, so I wore this mask to avoid disturbing you." The king burst out laughing. "Indeed, he deserved those roses more than you did." With that, he removed Shankar's mask and reinstated him as the royal storyteller. "You have always been honest and kind. From today onwards, you will be more than just a water carrier. You shall be my royal storyteller." And so Shankar continued to live in the palace, his laughter echoing through the corridors, reminding everyone that kindness and honesty are the truest forms of wealth.